Don't you just love weddings?
Oh, no. He's got wedding fever.
I just love celebrating love that lasts a lifetime.
Or in your case, 14 months.
Okay, so the next episode is iRobot Wedding, another Neville episode, continuing off the main series. This is the first time he's in this new show, and instead of actually cross-comparing it with the original Season 1 episode that I think it probably mimics, I think I want to start with the Season 1 episode first. Like, for example, iNeville. iNeville is Neville's debut episode, and the concept is basically there is another website going on to compete with iCarly that is just as popular. A cool concept, like a rivalry web show, definitely a good idea. And it's mainly about this kid who has always gotten what he wanted. He's so egotistical, he even gives Carly a picture of his brain, which is, when you think about it, kind of narcissistic. Neville tries to make a move on Carly, which she politely declines by shoving cake in his face, or tapenade as they called it. I do like the concept of an enemy that is younger than you, like an 11-year-old web show host. Like, he's already a pretty dynamic character right off the gate. And he needs to be a genius, you know, like they do that in all the Dan Schneider shows, like the Robot Wars episode of Zoe 101. They love having villain tech nerds, which, okay, at least it makes sense in this show. He kind of holds the power in the situation because his website gets so much more traffic than iCarly's, so they're actually worried about them being shut down, because this is when it was so little in popularity that you can get shut down. I mean, now iCarly is just all over the place, which is super funny because, like, by the end of the series, I feel like we don't hear anything about Neville and his web show. We just kind of see iCarly get better and better, and then him just become vindictive. I don't know. They end up trapping him with his fear of germs by having this sick kid at school hug him in iCarly. The way they solve this is kind of anticlimactic. They basically just tell his mother on him and he gets grounded, and that's the end of his first appearance. Then he comes back in I Rue the Day, where he essentially just hacks the web show and starts trying to work against them, which is a lot further than his initial idea. The iCarly gang end up going to his house and actually hacking his website, which is kind of a cool idea for a plot. Like, I wish they did that in this new show, like, where there was like a heist going on and they had to hack into the mainframe. I don't know, that's a cool episode. That one, though, is weirdly resolved by the army getting involved, and they attack Neville and attach him to a string. A bungee string that he gets pasted to the ceiling. Okay, weird ending. But that kind of brings us to iRobot Wedding. See, this is kind of the annoying part off the bat. We start with a scene where it's Freddie, Millicent, Spencer, and Carly getting ready to go to Neville's wedding. They talk about how weird it is that they're invited, but even though they don't like him, they definitely have to make an appearance. And it kind of gives that vibe that it's like family. You know, like when you don't like somebody and you have to go to their wedding, like it's something like that. They did it in Drake and Josh when they got in the car to go to their great-grandmother's wedding. The only reason it annoys me is because they're not necessarily a family. Like in the original iCarly show, we get a lot of hints to their actual family and people they actually don't want to be around. But because this is referencing the main series, it feels like they didn't worry about the backstory or making these characters work on their own, so they just reference the old show as if it's their family. Like, they would have to go to Neville's wedding, which, no, you don't. You definitely didn't have a relationship worth nurturing. I don't get why anybody thinks they have to go to this wedding, and I don't know why Freddie would have to bring his daughter Millicent. Why would that have to happen? Freddie is weirdly defensive of weddings, saying it's like the most beautiful thing you could ever imagine, which I don't remember this in the original show. Like, he was not hype about weddings before. Harper doesn't want to go, and they kind of talk about the fact that it's robot themed, which I am immediately drawn to. I think that's such a cool idea, and this is actually referencing the tech nerd he was deep down in that earlier episode. There's a few things going on in this single location episode. Neville rubs his relationship into Carly's face about this, saying that while she had a failed relationship, he just got married, and it's clear that there might be an intention behind it. It becomes those episodes where it's like The Boy Who Cried Wolf, where it's like, oh, Neville's definitely up to something, but nobody can quite prove it, and I'm just wondering why you guys went to this wedding in the first place. Like, it sounds like you're just intentionally going to ruin it, and I don't know why Harper is here either. Like, she doesn't know Neville at all. There's a couple things going on here, and aside from the Neville situation, it's Harper and Spencer actually trying to pick up women, and whoever gets the most numbers by the end of the night wins. Really, really unnecessary side plot, but it is funny to see them attempt to one-up each other in that way. I definitely don't feel the dynamic here. It feels like they're going off to do their own separate things in parallel to each other, which doesn't necessarily make either of them more funny. And in Millicent and Freddie's side plot, he's just trying to get to know people, and she is getting in the way of that. She doesn't want to see Freddie get hurt, so she keeps coming between him and any other girl there is, which is kind of adorable. It's kind of sweet. The main story is the first plot twist where Carly is convinced that Neville Papperman's fiance is actually a robot, that this whole theme is just a ploy to make it look normal that she's there. And it's funny because he has a speech saying that his family told him he needed to marry into the tech industry, which doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever. Everybody starts treating Carly weird by, like, comparing them, and it's weird that Freddie's actually the best man. Like, everything feels out of sorts. It doesn't even feel realistic. It feels like they're just taking the cast of characters and reorganizing them for, like, a single episode play. Not to say that this is a bad episode. It's got a lot of really funny jokes, and seeing Carly try to prove herself is really good. Freddie and Spencer's outfits for the wedding are to die for. I can't believe how cool a robot wedding sounds. It tries to be sweet by having the fiance actually open up to Carly and care about the main cast. But really, it's just to get out exposition, tell them that she has a secret and there's a plate in her head, which doesn't feel super genuine telling somebody new for the first time. It makes me think that she's just like a trauma dumper. It gets crazier when Neville actually confronts Carly and says he's tired of the cat and mouse game, which is so funny that he's like still assuming they have a chance at a relationship, that maybe Carly's only acting out of suspicion because she's jealous. Like, that is so far from the truth. Carly runs to disrupt the wedding, and apparently Neville announces that Prunella's out and Carly's the one taking over, which is downright shocking. It's actually kind of cool though, because it adds context to the fact that maybe everybody's there, or maybe everybody's invited because it's Carly's crew. But then everything gets turned around when Prunella says she actually does love Neville, and he never had been loved before, so he's moved by it, and then they decide to actually get married, which I would be kind of annoyed that you just tried to replace our entire wedding with another girl. Like, why isn't that talked about? And then Millicent kind of has a talk with Freddie, pushing him to go ask Carly to dance instead of any of the girls here, which, oh my gosh, guys, you're not being subtle. We know they're going to end up together. All around, it's great to see Neville back, but guys, it feels like a little unnatural, and I don't know if I'm falling for it. This is like one of the first times after Faux-Apologize where I'm like, I don't know if I 100% agree with what they're putting out here. But hey, it's not terrible. If this is one of the worst episodes, I still don't think it's that bad.
Yeah, she's gone. Best $20 of my life. We both know there's no curse. That's not great. What do you mean aneurysms are the #1 cause of death for party performers? Wow. Yes, in the corner. Also, we're low on ice if they want to grab some on the way. Hello? Hello?
Episode 6 of the new iCarly is called I Am Cursed. And it's taking a reference back to the original series where Carly has had horrible birthdays in the past. The whole cold open is her warning everybody that she wants to keep it low-key and not make it a big deal. We get another cameo from Principal Franklin from the original series, which feels a little unnecessary when he gets there and isn't really interested in talking to them. Like, he doesn't even say goodbye to the kids after he leaves. Look at this, just walking out.
Bye.
Yeah, that's crazy. They have a little bit of an existential moment when they get these letters from him that are letters to their future selves. Freddie gets insecure that he's never done anything worthwhile, like partying or anything that he thinks he should be doing, which is kind of annoying. I hate that he gets the short end of the stick this much just because he's a tech nerd. Like, I get it, like a lot of things don't work out for him, but they shouldn't send out the message that you could produce your own web show, you could get good grades, be a responsible person, and then your entire adult life you'll be screwed over. Like, that's a weird message. Carly's just happens to be about her birthday, which is kind of crazy to me. So Carly is super cautious, doesn't want to have a big blowout birthday. But Spencer wants to throw her a big blow-up birthday, and there's this funny parallel scene where Carly is talking to Millicent about why she really doesn't feel comfortable with something like that, and then Spencer is talking to Harper about how it's going to be the best idea, but Harper keeps warning him, which, I don't know, it kind of makes Spencer seem like kind of a jerk. Like, he's her brother, like, he definitely would remember why she didn't like it, like, he was there when the goat was, whatever that means. So it's clear Spencer's planning the party, and Carly is expecting nothing, and doesn't want anything, actually. Meanwhile, Freddie's suffering his midlife crisis and bringing Millicent into it, which is kind of depressing. So they show up to Carly's apartment and find a whole stash of things that Mrs. Benson apparently hid from him, including a skateboard and a bunch of other things that could be potentially dangerous. And I wish this plot was a little bit more about Freddie and his mom. Like, I feel like we could have had a little Mrs. Benson resentment episode and actually, like, dove deeper into their relationship instead of Freddie just doing what they think is comically funny. Like, it just feels unnatural to me. The only episode I could really tie this to from the original series is from the second season, actually, because I could not find a first season one, and it's called I Make Sam Girlier. Why? Just because it's a birthday episode. In that episode, Sam basically gets a surprise party, and it doesn't turn out to be the way any of the cast wanted, because they end up saying everything they love about Sam, and she takes it as a really negative thing, like they're insulting her, which, aw, that's kind of sad when you think about it. The rest of the episode is her trying to make up for this existential crisis, which is definitely similar to what Carly and Freddie are going to in this episode, but which one really did it better? I feel like this has a real direct payoff where we're actually about to see the party and everything get resolved, but the original episode actually has them take their time. It's not just like one location, it's a lot of going through their lives, and this one feels a little limited in that sense. But let's keep going. Carly's enjoying her birthday in her apartment when Spencer texts her to come over to his apartment, and oh my god, this is so funny. She shows up and everybody is here, and she is horrified. Oh my god, Principal Franklin even has a line here. Look at this.
Principal Franklin?
What can I say? I got a Google alert for Champagne Tower.
But yeah, Harper's like, I warned him, I don't know what to do. And Carly's next goal is to just survive this party, which is kind of a funny concept. I just feel like it's not that interesting the way they do it. Somehow Harper is trying to impress a guy named Xavier, who is a fashion photographer. So in order to complete both their goals, I guess she uses bubble wrap to give Carly a safe outfit that is also fashionable. And the guy loves it for some reason, which, guy, they just attached bubble wrap to her. That is not impressive. Spencer tries to help Carly through this whole event, which is actually kind of sweet, him trying a little bit harder, but the fact that he did this in the first place without listening to her is exactly why it, like, almost doesn't feel redeemable. It makes him look more like a jerk. But they bring this, like, tarot card reader or fortune teller, I don't know, just to tell her all she has to do is burn the letter, which is kind of a weird solution, but she seems pretty happy with it, so I'm not gonna question it, Carly. But good for her. It's nice to see her actually, like, get over this birthday fear, but the episode's not over yet. Freddie hardcore embarrasses himself by acting like a literal high schooler or college kid with a bunch of kids following him around, too. Like, it's crazy. Oh my god, Doug Brochu is here again. He was an extra in a lot of the original iCarly, and now he's just here, which is kind of funny. I don't know, he doesn't look at all like his original self just because of the long hair, but I'm gonna move past that. After Carly feels like her situation's resolved, the fortune teller dies. Yeah, Spencer has to get through the end of Carly's party by making her convinced that the whole thing went super well and everything is good now and nobody died. But he died. And this is where I, like, wish the whole episode was more circled on this, not like the last 5 minutes. This is the most interesting part. Like, I don't need to see how long it took for them to get to this place. I feel like Carly and the fortune teller should have happened way earlier in the episode and we could have just had a lot more fun at this party, but I don't know, everything feels a little bit rushed in this episode, and I Make Sam Girlier kind of does it better, just because of the extra locations and utilizing them to their advantage. I feel like this show could have had the edge over it, but it just ended up getting too dialogue heavy. Still, it's nice to see Principal Franklin again. Oh well. The interesting thing I didn't realize till now is the reference to iFence, like the whole Freddie plotline of him trying to live life to its fullest, because he's always been held back by his mom. That was definitely done in iFence with him and Spencer, and that was a really good episode, and their dynamic was always so funny. It's so different than the new show, but I do think their relationship is pretty much kept intact. I feel like if they took a little bit more pointers on that side plot to the Freddie and Mrs. Benson plot line, it could have been a lot more interesting. Like, it makes it seem like this episode is a little bit more rushed than those episodes. So there's, like, a lot going on, really.
Maybe. It seems kind of fun.
Oh, it is. I live for Leap In.
Don't do it. Don't do what?
Don't leap in.
So the next episode is Season 1, Episode 7, I Need Space. And this one is really cool because it definitely utilizes modern technology, and it's really good when it does that. It's making me think that almost there's more ideas now than the original iCarly to really go off of, which is something that works in this show's favor. I can't imagine if it would be good at all if technology didn't advance the way it did, or the original iCarly didn't have the impact it did. The plot is that Spencer actually met a lady, and she runs this whole space that's kind of like a public office salon. It's a hangout place. I don't even know how to describe it, honestly, guys. You actually see Carly working on editing her own videos, which is interesting to me. I feel like that would have been Freddie's only purpose. Not only does he not really hold a camera now, but he doesn't even do the one other technical thing you would probably have to do for the show. Whatever. The woman that Spencer's dating comes over, and the two enjoy a nice glass of wine, which is still disorienting to see for a kid's show. Carly and Harper kind of get into a disagreement about the fact that they can't work in the same space, the iCarly studio, which, Harper, why would you think that is just allowed to be yours? This is her brother's apartment. And can't one person go to the apartment you actually have? I don't know why space is an issue here. But yeah, they meet Spencer's girlfriend through an argument about the space they had together. Spencer's girlfriend is surprisingly excited to meet Carly, which is kinda sketch. And they tell her about a whole she pitches them the ladies only working space where they would fit in really well. Harper and Carly love the idea and both agree to go. Millicent is a part of a Girl Scout troop in the B-plot. We really see how funny Millicent is in this moment, she makes a life insurance policy, because all the other Girl Scouts are trying to sell cookies, and she is standing out in the crowd, she does not fit in at all, which is not necessarily a bad thing. She seems a lot more impressive than them. We see Freddie actually get to be a father by contributing to the Girl Scout troop, which is the only realistic relation I've seen in this show so far. Millicent ends up quitting the Girl Scouts to start her own cookie selling business with Freddie. Weird. So the space looks perfect, a great co-working environment. They have all these different things to do, and they keep promoting this idea that it's the perfect place to just chill for your downtime. It reminds me a lot of how gyms are nowadays. Post-COVID world, we're trying to find new ways to exist in the same space, and I think this woman is just trying to promote that. But there's something sketchy going on. One of the girls almost warns the main crew not to trust this place, and we don't really know what that means right off the bat, but I'm a little terrified. Millicent and Freddie start their own cookie business and actually employ other people, but it just makes me feel bad for Freddie. Does he really have nothing else to do with his life at this point? It does remind me of the I Sell Penny Teas plotline, though, because just the fact that they're making a whole business, that's cool. So Harper essentially falls for this scam. She loves going to this new co-working place and really defends it, while Carly is very skeptical and keeps seeing eerie stuff going on. This woman keeps trying to get Carly to join, and after Harper joins, it's almost hard for her to say no. Carly tries to warn Spencer, who also doesn't believe her. And I wish he was a little bit funnier in this scene. Carly's approaching you about your girlfriend possibly being evil, and Spencer is not being, as funny, happy-go-lucky as he usually is. He's more serious in this moment, which is kind of weird. So Carly heads back to the space to try to find proof that something's going on. She ends up finding, a whole security camera room and finds out that this girl, Argentina, actually watches everything that goes on in every room, which is kind of uncomfortable, especially for privacy rights. Kind of feels like a commentary on Apple and how people are just listening to you through your phones. I don't know, it's weird. This is where we see kind of a jerky side of Freddie. He takes this Girl Scout cookie business him and Millicent are doing a little bit too far, actually making it his whole life, redesigning the website, making everything perfect, and it's definitely reeking of somebody that doesn't like to do their own creative endeavors, so once they get a job or something that they care about career-wise, they turn it into their whole personality. Yeah, that kind of doesn't do good for Freddie. I wish this character had a little bit more positive traits at this point, but what can you do? Freddie and Millicent end up getting in a fight about this and actually resolve the problem, which is sweet. I like seeing these guys actually care about one another, but it does feel a little forced at times. If this dynamic, this comedy duo like Sam and Freddie used to be, is supposed to be Freddie and Millicent, it really isn't reading that way. I mean, I get it, Millicent is devious, she could easily be the crazy person and he is the straight man, but I don't know, I feel like it's almost missing something. So nobody believes Carly until Harper and Spencer see it for themselves and actually find the control room. So this woman actually threatens Carly that she will delete Harper's hard work if she doesn't go on iCarly and promote her business, which is, wow, that's really dark. But I like that it's an adult show and actually has a lot of big stakes at mind. Spencer and Harper come in to save the day right before they're about to do it, and they actually get her to admit what she's doing is wrong. The ending feels a little anticlimactic because it's not like they're like, Harper ends up getting her flash drive back and Argentina ends up coming clean about everything, which is weird because the business still exists. I don't know. This episode was a lot of fun for the scam aspect, although it does remind me a lot of iMLM, which is an episode that's about to come up where they're doing scams, but I guess scamming is a normal thing in this day and age, so we should talk about it a lot. If I had to compare this episode to anything in particular, it would be iCarly Saves TV. And in that episode, Carly, Sam, and Freddie get an offer to actually have iCarly be a sitcom on television. They redo the set. They have this whole TV producer that essentially walks through them making their show a thing. And it's kind of parroting the whole world of entertainment and how you have to change things in order to make them perfect for everybody. And that's what it kind of reminds me of here, like this dystopian cult-like group of people that are trying to get Carly to compromise. But here's the thing. If we're talking about these episodes back to back and which one did it better, obviously iCarly Saves TV did this in a more gradual and entertaining way. Like they took aspects out of the situation one by one. And this new show just feels like it's doing that like 20 times worse. Like sure, there's a lot of funny jokes and I think the plot line is really intricate and interesting. But the threat of Harper not having her hard drive doesn't happen until like the later half of the episode. Carly doesn't actually have a chance to fall for leaped in, so it doesn't really matter. She's like against it the entire time. And Spencer feels just like a prop in this, where he's not really doing that much. Like if he had a couple jokes, I feel like that goes a long way in this show, but it didn't even get that far. Freddie's relationship with Millicent in this episode is really spot on and makes it feel like this whole episode is worth watching, but if it wasn't for this side plot, I do feel like the whole Carly storyline is not necessary and almost diluting everything that's good about it. So we're just gonna have to move on.
There's something I've been meaning to tell you.
Okay, shoot.
Season 1, Episode 8 is called I Love Gwen, and this one is actually a lot more fun than I thought it would be. So Millicent's mom is in the picture. I'm assuming they adopted her together. This woman's a marine biologist, and more importantly, Freddie's ex. She's in town because Millicent is going to be in the school play. Meanwhile, Carly is not happy, or at least it seems like she's not happy. The second they get a private moment together, Gwen and Carly actually get along really well. So it's revealed that Carly is almost so ashamed of her friendship, she and Gwen try to hide it from Freddie. They just don't want him to feel bad, which is kind of sweet, I guess. The B-plot in this is actually really good. Millicent convinces Spencer and Harper to help out with the show because apparently the costume designer and the set designer dropped out. Real convenient. This inspires both of them to join because they haven't really had moments where they can express themselves like that. And this is some of my favorite Spencer moments. Like, this B-plot is actually really strong. I love seeing him jump back into art just to design the school stage. Like, that's such a good idea. The episode's really sweet. It's essentially Carly and Millicent both suspecting that Gwen and Freddie kind of have more feelings for each other than they let on, and maybe they should be back together. And one of the best parts of this episode is when Carly and Millicent are actually concocting a plan to let them have alone time together so they can actually reconnect. And the only way they could do this for real is getting Freddie's mom out of the picture so they have her at a sleepover. And she says like, oh, I've never been in a sleepover before. And I'm like, Miss Benson, that is not surprising. And her craziness gets stepped up a notch. She has a puzzle that is Freddie. And it's like, okay, I don't think a mom would be that insane. Actually, On their alone time, Gwen admits to Freddie that she's actually seeing somebody, and Freddie isn't super heartbroken about this, so we know that there's not a lot at stake, honestly. Like, it kind of downplays it a little bit. But of course, that's just enough for Carly and Millicent to make enough assumptions to let everybody down. We jump to the school play, which is already fun, with Harper and Spencer taking it super competitively. A lot more interesting than them fighting over girls for their numbers. Like, this is more their speed, like fighting over art. It's a lot more about their characters and a lot funnier. Millicent goes into the play with really high hopes because she gets to see her parents finally be back together again, and this is about to get really sad. Carly is also under the assumption that this is gonna happen, and I'm kind of sad that we ditched the fact that they're friends being the main plot. Like, I wish it would be more about Carly hiding this secret. I don't think we needed to add another layer, but, you know, it's still fun. Carly confirms that this is definitely not happening, and she needs to give Millicent a signal so that way she doesn't embarrass herself by, like, devoting the show to her parents getting back together. Meanwhile, the stage starts to fall apart a little bit. Spencer made it out of toast, by the way. I don't know how he conjured up that, but it's very classic Spencer. Like, I love that he put this together. It's kind of beautiful. And he keeps coming in during the show, which, by the way, would never happen in an actual high school production, to keep fixing the set. Carly ends up going on stage in character, stealing the role from a little girl, just to use awkward Shakespeare context to convince Millicent that she shouldn't speak about her parents getting back together. And it's actually really kind of sad. It would be even sadder if it wasn't hilarious because Spencer just breaks the set, and that's just where it ends. Millicent is heartbroken live on stage, and all these parents are here to see this awkward display of affection. There's like no other kids in this show either. Like, they're not even trying to convince us this is real. Spencer definitely made up for most of it though. Like, his comedy in this is hilarious. Freddie also discovers that Carly and Gwen are friends, which doesn't really have any consequences, so what was the point of it anyway? I just wish they either focused on Carly and Gwen being friends, keeping that a secret, or Carly and Millicent trying to put their parents back together. I don't know why that had to be about both. And I wish the web show was incorporated a little bit more, or Carly's influence over people, because it feels like it's very condensed just to fit Millicent's middle school life, but I guess there's nothing wrong with that. I didn't have a problem. Now, this is going to be kind of a stretch of a comparison, but if you ever saw the episode Season 1, Episode 8 of iCarly, iSpy a Mean Teacher, it's a really fun episode. It's basically Carly and Freddie spying on Mrs. Briggs, and when they're about to get caught, they end up getting stuck in her home where they get locked in the room with all this Randy Jackson merch. The entire episode is them essentially trying to get out of their location and not get the teacher to figure out what they were up to in the first place. And pretty much you're in trouble the whole time. She ends up catching them and she makes them apologize on the webcast, and she hijacks the show just to play her Irish instrument. It kind of reminds me of the other episode, just in spirit, because it's this clash between the kids' high school life and also having the performance at the end of the episode. iLove Gwen deals with a lot of similar escalating comedy, like having Freddie's mom join them at the sleepover, the play going wrong, and Spencer needing to get involved. The situations just get more and more ridiculous the more Carly tries to put her 2 cents into the situation. And while I really love the iLove Gwen episode itself, it doesn't really compete with iSpy a Mean Teacher, because all the critiques I had about the original episode don't really apply. Like, iSpy a Mean Teacher does end on iCarly, which is like the influence I said I wanted. It focuses on one main plot and just focuses on the kids. And it's just confusing to me why a show with like 20 episodes in one season could somehow be better than the show that had 13 episodes to really take their time. The jokes in the original episode just get better and more ridiculous with this whole Randy Jackson situation, and the bitterness of Miss Briggs just gets to an all-time high. It's also reminding me a little bit of the episode where they set Spencer up with their teacher. In that episode, Spencer's relationship with another woman really takes over the kids' lives to a point where they start failing classes because Spencer is not with her anymore. The stakes are a little bit different because it's from the kid's perspective, and like this whole relationship affects everything they do. But in the iLove Gwen episode, the relationship doesn't affect too much, especially when it comes to Carly's perspective. Like, if the influence and the web show were involved, maybe Carly could have had a stake in the fact them not working out, but they kind of didn't, so it felt a little off to me. But you know what? Comedy goes a really long way with me, and I had so much fun with this episode that I overlooked most of those things.
I hear you saying you're good, but I still need to acknowledge the cruelty of my actions. I never should have accused you of caring too much. If anything, I should have accused you of being just so gosh darn wonderful. Come here.
Now, this next one is definitely, like, my favorite episode. It's called iMLM, and it's good because it's dealing with things that actually go on in our time. Like pyramid schemes, scams, like the darker sides of the internet. We took time in the last 10 years to really view these things a lot lighter, as opposed to the original iCarly, when things were so new, it wasn't clear whether it was super dangerous, or even talking about web show stuff wouldn't get kids into trouble. But here, it's like, okay, it's fun to joke about a pyramid scheme. Also, the commentary on pop culture is really funny. So in this episode, Carly reconnects with Griffin. Yeah, the Pee-wee baby's boy. It's already hard not to compare this episode to I Date a Bad Boy because Griffin's involved, but it doesn't really have to do with Griffin as much as it has to do with Freddie. Carly gets into the idea of crystals, and I don't know, it feels more relatable than usual. Basically, Griffin has to reach out, and they catch up with Carly thinking that he wants to get back together. But really, he tells her about this new kind of sand that almost acts as like this therapeutic aroma that can calm somebody down and make them comfortable. Carly immediately gets in on this and agrees, like it's really nice. And she too is calm because of all of it. This sand has a domino effect on all of the main characters' lives, as Spencer's been told by a woman he was gonna date that he was insensitive, that he wasn't super listening or caring. And then he tries the sand, and then suddenly he's the most sensitive guy on earth, which is so funny for Spencer to think that, like, that's all it took is sand. This is the tragic part. So Freddie saved up about, like, $4,000 to finally get to leave his mother's house, which, by the way, $4,000, 2 months rent, Freddie, 2 months. Basically, the tech world is not going good for him, so he's kind of having like an identity crisis. He doesn't know what to do with his life. Things go completely crazy when Freddie likes the sand so much he buys $4,000 worth of it, and then he's essentially convinced he's going to be rich because of this. Carly's so into the sand that she too wants to promote it, so she's like, okay, let's do a web show where we actually try to get people to buy this thing, because that would be cool. The B-plot with Millicent is really funny because she wants a pet and Freddie won't get her a dog. She makes this funny presentation in black and white, and this really sells her for me. Like, she's adorable to do all this. Does she even know that black and white was a thing back then? She ends up adopting a fish and carrying it around like it's a child, which is so funny. Like, she even has like a harness for it to go out in public. Meanwhile, Harper is having trouble at her job because she just wants to go about life and not have to work at Skybox. When she runs into Millicent and finds out that the fish food is actually exactly the same as the sand that Freddie, Spencer, and Carly have been using, and it's revealed that this is definitely a scam. It's a multi-level marketing scheme. Not sure if you guys heard about that, but it's basically when the whole job in itself is to recruit others, buy a bunch of faulty products, and then basically pawn it off to somebody else so that way you get the money. And it's basically people scamming other people. I hate it because I used to have friends that would fall for stuff like this and start asking other people to buy stuff from them, and it's kind of a gross look on people, which makes it even crazier that Griffin is at the forefront of this. This definitely is a great episode for Harper because I feel like she hasn't really found her place in the cast a lot of times, but here, running to quit her job just to warn the main cast what she realized is a nice way to integrate her into this whole thing. As they put this thing on sale during the webcast, Harper comes in just in time to warn Carly, who is borderline going to have a panic attack on stage, and I feel horrible for Freddie because he too has spent more money than anybody ever. They openly admit what the sand was, and Griffin claims he knew it the whole time, which I feel like if you were in an MLM scheme, you wouldn't actually be that aware or you wouldn't be involved, unless he is really that bad of a person that he's just trying to scam everybody. Which it seems like, because Carly asks he wanted to reconnect because he liked her, and he says, yeah, oh, I guess I could like you, which is like kind of crazy. And there's so little iCarly episodes that compare to this. One, because it's just so modern and it feels like a new show. And I feel like I could confidently say this feels like a good sitcom episode. Literally, the plot goes across every character and culminates in one final showcase, which is that whole sand thing. And with Freddie being at the worst possible position makes it really fun to root for him. I feel like this is the show at its peak. It does exactly what it should do as a revival. Although it does kind of remind me of iCarly Saves TV, because that's the episode where they take the original show of iCarly, the web show, and try to make it into a sitcom, in a time where sitcoms actually carried more weight. Oh my god, can you guys imagine? But yeah, there was a distinct villain, the same way Griffin was in this episode, but there it's a TV producer. And the more they get into the show, the more they develop it, the more it feels like a scam. With Andre Harris being a guest star. No, I'm just kidding, I know that's not his real name. It's Leon Thomas III. But everything goes haywire, it just consistently builds. All the characters are dealing with the same issue, which goes up until the end of the episode. It requires all the main characters to take a really good look at themselves and see if they really want to do this, along with legal things getting in the way, the same way money gets involved in Freddie's life. So essentially, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation where the characters are just plain stuck, making for better comedy than any TV show ever. So if you guys had to start the iCarly revival, I would definitely recommend this episode if you wanted to get a good taste right off the bat.
Oh, that is incredible.
Oh, so good.
Fun ruckus here. Let's get this party started. Oh, looks like the party already started.
Okay, so we have Season 1, Episode 10 of iCarly, I Take a Girl's Trip. This episode is actually really funny because it takes some pretty unexpected turns and really uses the adult sitcom format in its favor when it comes to some of the jokes in this. So the whole premise is that Carly is going to be taking a girls' trip with Harper and her other friend, but Harper finds out that her long-lost cousin has finally come back from sea or from being kidnapped. It's kind of dark, but they don't really go into it too much. So basically, Carly finds herself having to go out on this girls' trip by herself. At first, Freddie is like, hey, like, I want to go on a girls' trip, which is so Freddie. I feel like I was always that guy growing up, the one who wanted to go on all the girl trips with the girls, but never quite fitting in. I feel like at this point it's good though, because I really do feel for Harper. I feel like since the iMLM episode, she's become a lot more relatable, and just the fact that she's kind of smarter than everybody else is really helpful for the cast. I mean, usually the dynamic was Sam making things a little extra, but Harper almost like grounds the show in a way that the original show didn't need to be, you know? The really fun thing about this episode is that Spencer actually has a crush on her. This is like the first time they've ever set us up with somebody in Spencer's life that they didn't intend on leaving by the end of the 30 minutes. They definitely got a good vibe going on. I mean, I think it's just funny to see Spencer trying to get out there again, but to think that he's actually like forming a connection with this poor woman who was lost at sea for so long, it's very special. Like, good for you, Spencer. He didn't get some of those plot lines in the original series. Of course, poor Harper, like, she just found her long-lost cousin, and next thing you know, she got a boyfriend and moved on. Like, I mean, I would be kind of annoyed at that. That's just how it be sometimes. So when Freddie and Carly get to the hotel, they basically find out that they're in the lover's suite, which is kind of random to me because she was intending this to be a girls' trip, not a romantic trip anyway. But they're hooked up into the same room, which is really awkward, especially when you're in a guy and a girl. Like, it reminds me of growing up and you're like, your friends are joking about you being in a relationship with your friends. It's like when you have a friend that's a girl and they just insist that you guys are dating just because you're a guy and a girl, which is so overrated at this age. Or when your parents try to pair you up with your best friends, like, it's so awkward. What a weird time to be alive. It's so funny though, because Carly and Freddie have such good chemistry. I feel like this is a little too obvious. Like, you guys should just be together. I don't know. They do a good job at like dodging that being the case though. I feel like the scenario makes it seem like they're pushing them together, but the characters are genuinely dodging each other and trying not to make it happen, which is making it even weirder. Like, They start using bathrobes and trying to pretend that it's like a normal girls' trip just with Freddie, but then it gets even weirder when the lights go down and the music starts playing. Yeah, the room is trying to set these guys up. This was one of the first episodes I remember really liking of the new iCarly series, being like, okay, this is actually why you would do a reboot. Seeing the awkwardness get funnier and funnier is just so perfect for this show. Like, it's what I'm looking for in a comedy. But then we have a guest star in this episode, and this girl actually wrote some of the episodes of this show and other episodes in she's a TV writer, and she's really funny. I've seen her on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. She's been in a lot more stuff since the 2010s, I would say. And low-key, it just gets even more weird from here. Like, they have flower petals fall, and even Carly's friend that wasn't supposed to come on this trip ends up showing up anyway. Now, the girl and Freddie almost take a liking to each other, so that actually makes things a little awkward. And we're not sure if Carly's mad because she feels jealous, or just the fact that they hijacked her girls' trip. For me, the girls' trip thing is kind of disrespectful. I feel like Carly and Freddie were just supposed to have this hangout on their own, and Freddie shouldn't be this naive to think that this is appropriate. Like, this is so rude. They end up spending a lot more time with each other than Carly. I mean, fair enough. They don't want to be in that awkward situation of just the two of them alone in a room, but this girl added to the mix makes it a little bit worse. Then it for sure becomes a couple's trip, but Carly is not the couple, which is actually kind of funny. I think this episode's really funny. And good for Freddie finally connecting with a girl. Like, it's been forever since this has happened. These are the moments that make me think of Zoe 101 in this show. Like, I feel like the original show doesn't even lean toward being like Zoe 101 more than this new show. I think it's just the two close friends being together is just, it's more natural in this, and I like that it kind of stays within the universe that we're nostalgic for, because, you know, it shows that we were interested in stories like that anyway, you know? So yeah, meanwhile, the same awkward thing is going on with Harper, because Spencer and Harper's cousin start full-on dating, and it's actually kind of sweet. Like, seeing Spencer be this into her is really nice. Nice change of pace. I wish there was more storylines like that. So now Harper's getting jealous the same way Carly is, and it is just a nightmare for these two girls. They end up having like a heart-to-heart over FaceTime, and they admit that neither of them are that happy. Oh my gosh, and then things get way over budget. No, I'm just kidding. Things get way awkward. Next thing you know, Carly's friend assumes that they are going to be engaging in a three-way, which usually I am a kids channel, so I'm not going to explain to you guys what that is. But it's basically all of the three of them hooking up, and this is drawing the line for Freddie. Like, he likes this new girl, but it's so awkward with Carly that it's just not happening. Which is nice. I like that he has boundaries. I feel like early Freddie from the first series was just kind of desperate and would do anything for Carly, but at least this guy is an adult. The episode kind of ends there. Like, there's not a super definitive ending. It just kind of escalates so much to a point where Freddie leaves it alone, and Carly returns from the trip being like, I barely survived that. And everybody's happy for some reason. I guess that's a resolve. And Spencer and this girl keep dating, which is also sweet. Like, we'll see this in the next episode. So this episode can actually be really close to season 1, episode 9 of the original series, I Will Date Freddie. And in this, there's basically a girl that has a crush on Freddie that goes to their school. Now that I think about it, that's like insane. And basically, they're like, okay, come on, iCarly, and we'll hook up you and Freddie. Or Freddie just is like, oh yeah, I would love to go on a date with you, and obviously cue Sam's insults. They end up going out together and actually forming a connection, but in this instance, it's more so Carly suffering for Freddie's love life. I guess this is like the theme of the episode. Carly just happens to get the short end of the stick because the girl Freddie is set up with wants to do her own web show and wants Freddie to do that for her. Freddie ends up doing it for her and being her web producer instead. And Carly is really hurt by this. I mean, I would be too, because obviously he just got this new girlfriend and he's ditching his friends for her. Like, that stinks, but that's what happens. In the end, it leads to a lot of awkward moments, but this whole episode didn't really go for the comedic effect of awkward. It more so went for the plot of them not having the web show for a little bit, which I feel like maybe the new iCarly could have leaned into, but otherwise, I don't know. I feel like this is a near perfect episode of the reboot. Like, I would definitely recommend this episode specifically if you need to get into it. And if you don't like it, you might not like the show. What can I say? Another episode this reminds me of is I Hate Sam's Boyfriend from season 1. Mainly because Carly is the third wheel in that scenario. Like Sam starts dating that kid Jonah, and then Carly just feels really awkward, and then Jonah hits on her. I mean, maybe there's that whole love triangle situation that also reminds me of it, but I don't know. I can't tell if it's I Hate Sam's Boyfriend or that other episode I was just talking about. It's still interesting that they got this many characteristics of the first show without necessarily repeating any of the plot lines. Like, I'm really impressed by that.
You sure what?
Hi. Welcome to class, everyone.
Season 1, episode 11 is called I Can Fix It Myself. And it's kind of a funny episode, honestly. Yeah, so Carly is getting her car towed because she's parked in a wrong spot, and she meets this really obnoxious auto body mechanic, but also has love tension with. It's cool because it's insight onto how her job really is done. Like, she's an influencer, yeah, but she has to go record videos. Like, this is normal to wear a taco costume out in public. I wish I knew what these videos were, though. At least on iCarly, the original, we got to see what these videos ended up being. Like, what does she do as an influencer? I would love to know. Oh, yeah, but this guy basically tows her car. And then the auto body mechanic's name is Wes. And he's actually kind of a nice guy. I feel like in the circumstances, he could be a little bit more rude, but he's pretty genuine to Carly. Carly thinks that he's trying to rip her off, essentially. Like, auto body people usually find stuff wrong with your car just to charge you. And I gotta be honest, I agree with it. My dad is an auto body mechanic, and he owns his own business. And he purposely, like, has to quote people lower just to get their trust, because most car companies will just, like, say there's something wrong with your car when there isn't, just to get a repair. So yeah, Carly, you're right for being suspicious of this. Sus of this. Freddie literally said in this episode that he had to get his oil changed, and it cost $400. Guys, as an adult, that's too much money to spend to get your oil changed. That's insane, actually. $400. Not only can you do it yourself, guys, but I still feel like if you went to a mechanic that upcharged you, it wouldn't be $400. That's crazy. That stuff should be like $100, $200 at the very max. Spencer and this new girl are now dating. And then in this episode, something crazy Harper's cousin admits is that she didn't actually get taken. So Carly inevitably tries to go to school and learn how to fix all the car parts herself, which is pretty admirable. Like, I feel like to seek out opportunities to learn more about things we should be responsible and know about our cars, this is a cool thing that Carly does. And Freddie joins the class too. It's just fun to have a new class dynamic, knowing that there's no way we would see these guys in the classroom like we used to, but actually we get a setting where things can go haywire and actually be pretty funny. And the fact that the teacher ends up being Wes, the auto body guy from earlier, Carly is kind of angry because she's like, oh, I kind of told this guy off for being a stingy auto body guy, and now he's teaching the class? Carly literally tries to convince everybody in the class that she already knows how to do this stuff just so she doesn't look embarrassed in front of Wes, and it is hilarious watching her attempt to know what to do. Like, I don't even know what she should be doing. Carly tries to learn on her own how to repair her car, and it's not happening, Carly. I mean, like, why would you pay for the class just to prove to the class that you know what the class is teaching? I don't know, it's ridiculous to me. In this episode, we actually get introduced to another kind of popular character toward the end. It's Harper's boss. She's a professional singer, somebody super famous, and she is basically walking on eggshells around her because of how famous she is. This ends up being a love story, which I did not see coming, but this is just the initial introduction of this woman. She's kind of snotty and very selfish, being the most stereotypical version of a celebrity you can imagine, which I don't even know if people have celebrities anymore like that. It's kind of funny to think that, like, Skybucks was Harper's whole B-plot this whole show, and then they kind of replaced it with this relationship with her new boss. Like, she didn't have this boss before. It's funny to think that, like, they transitioned through that, you know? And can you believe that Nathan Kress wrote this episode? That is insane to me. Like, he is already so talented at acting, and now he just gets to write stuff? Like, come on. Pretending to know how to fix a car, Carly ends up making her own car worse, and needs to call Wes to help her. Wes essentially steps in and tries to fix the car for her, and we find out that it's too late. Her car did not make it, and it was unreplaceable. And it's kind of funny because they treat it like a funeral, like as if this guy Wes is delivering horrible news, and Carly takes it like terribly. We learned that actually it's because she had an emotional connection with the car and Sam, and it reminded her of Sam every time, which is really sweet and definitely a great callback, a way of featuring Sam without necessarily disrespecting Jeanette McCurdy's legacy, more like honoring her character. So yeah, when he tells Carly that her car is not gonna make it, it's like really dramatic, and he's there to console her, as if it's like this horrible death. And they end up deciding to go on a date together. Ooh, okay. And then we kind of get a pleasant surprise in the episode. Not only is the Sam reference really sweet, but Spencer ends up taking the part of her car and remastering it in a way, putting his art skills to the test, and making a brand new car for the iCarly set, which is very it's very symbolic because it's like the growth of the show. But now that it has like an entirely new show, it almost is like this is our way of saying like this is going to be our new project, you know, like iCarly is fresh and new and in the future now, so we need a new car. Wow, such a cool idea. Yeah, but overall, really good episode. I wish we got a little bit more of Millicent, but there was enough going on with the main cast to be interesting enough. And I just like Freddie being sprinkled throughout this, not necessarily having to do with the plot, still having some one-liners. Oh my gosh, and I forgot to mention that Harper's cousin comes clean about lying. And this is kind of a major blow. Like, if I was Harper, I would be like more than betrayed. Like, you pretended to disappear forever? And it's so funny because it starts off as like a clever one-off joke throughout the season, like she's just talking about her cousin who got taken away, and suddenly we get to see her come back. I was not expecting that through line at all, honestly. This episode has a lot of I Go to Detention vibes. That's the episode where Carly and Sam get thrown into detention for an episode, but they had to celebrate iCarly's 50th anniversary. 50th web show anniversary. I'm like, 50 years, that would be insane. Yeah, so the 50th web show anniversary, just in the sense that it's a entire classroom episode, like after the second act on, it's them trying to make the web show go through live, and all these things are kind of getting in the way of it happening. It's just when they're in the auto body class, it just reminds me a lot of Consequences when it comes to like education, I guess, because Carly's pretending she knows what to do. It's a hard one. But I like that we're developing new characters and like new people outside of the original iCarly universe. Like, it's feeling a lot more of its own vibe. And the fact that they find a funny way to do it, the fact that they get Freddie still in on the storyline without necessarily driving the entire plot is really interesting. Spencer's entire subplot is also super funny. Like, if we get funny Spencer, then I feel like iCarly is kind of made in the shade already. They do a good job. Like Carly and Spencer are the center point, and it really makes it shine in these types of episodes, especially when there's a lot of external issues they have to deal with, you know? So yeah, definitely like I Go to Detention.
Is it supposed to be pulsating?
Okay, the next episode we have is episode 12, I Throw a Flawless Dinner Party. And this gets back in the spirit of iCarly in the sense that, like, it's about a bunch of events conspiring and building to lead to one big event, and spoiler alert, that's the dinner party. I like how sitcoms do that with their plots. And this one was not disappointing. So, Wes and Carly are actually a thing. It wasn't just a one-off episode. It seems like these guys are actually casually dating now. So they're starting to get serious. Wes starts talking about his grandmother, and Carly is interested in getting to know her too. Like, she wants to take the relationship really serious. So she invites them over for a dinner party. the episode starts getting a little bit more meaningful, like in the way How I Met Your Mother was. Like, Spencer is at this stage in his relationship with Harper's cousin where they're starting to fight, they're starting to get out of that normal honeymoon phase. And it's really cool to see insight into that. Like, I remember as a kid growing up, a lot of the things I liked about TV when it came to relationships was like seeing how they developed, seeing how like they spent time together, you know, like these dynamics you establish with another person. And it's so interesting to think that like with every individual different person in the world, you probably have a different side of yourself that comes out when you're with them. Like, I don't know, that just sounds interesting to me. It's what makes people special, and when you're in the same room, it's like you unlock like a new power. I don't know. Millicent is really funny in these episodes. I feel like her one-liners are just really good. So Wes warned Carly that his grandmother is really not pleasant, so it's not super surprising that she's like one of the most disrespectful people ever, like even shutting down Millicent, a little girl. Like, what the heck? So of course Carly is going to be freaking out the whole time, like this dinner party has to be perfect, and then next thing you know, everybody's problems come into it. Like, Harper's boss invites herself into it while she's getting ready for putting on a music video for her. Freddie is going to be pitching a new web app, which is kind of fun for him, and he's involved at the dinner party. The way Harper's boss acts in this episode, though, is very irritating to me. Like, she's just asking and making requests for a home she just last minute got invited to. Like, I feel like that's very not cordial. They have some funny references to Carly's cooking, which is so funny. Like, before we're talking about spaghetti tacos, and now we're just seeing this disgusting moving piece of meat. I don't even know what this is. It's gross, though. So this is where it kind of gets chaotic. At the dinner party, Wes's Nana starts to choke, and then Carly tries to help, only making it worse. And it seems like Carly is intentionally trying to kill her, which, come on, Wes, you really think this girl you just met is intentionally trying to kill your grandmother? That is really... I don't know. That's assuming a lot of your grandmother. Spencer and Harper's cousin keep escalating their passive aggressiveness toward each other, and it's like so toxic, but it's kind of funny to watch. This next part I audibly laughed at because of how funny it is. So it's like such an obvious joke, but it's hilarious. So this is such a generic joke used in like literally all sitcoms, but it is so funny. So Carly goes into the room to apologize to Wes and Nona. Nona's laying down on the bed, and Carly is convinced she might be dead. I am too. Like, I'm like, oh my god, Carly, you are screwed. So Carly tries to check her pulse, only for Nona to wake up and think that she is trying to choke her out. And then, of course, Wes walks in. What literal better timing could there be for any kind of crazy outcome like that? So, as you can imagine, the party escalates, things get worse before they get better. Wes and Carly do end up making up, and everybody has a spaghetti taco to celebrate being friends, I guess. It's kind of funny because it's starting to remind me of that sitcom Friends, like another show about kids living in the city in their mid-teenage years, or sorry, their mid-20s. That's what Friends was, right? Wasn't it? I had a really tough time comparing this episode to any episode I'd seen in the first season, so I kind of looked to the further seasons, and I'm thinking about this show, I'm thinking about the one episode IQ. That's the episode where Carly dates a guy, and it basically is about her trying to match up to his brains, I guess. He has a really high IQ, so Carly's trying to fit in with that. I feel like the whole theme is just outward approval on this one, you know, like a bunch of different things are going on, everybody's trying to impress somebody, all culminating in this big dinner party. Something I really like in sitcoms is when they have all their stories coincide like this. It's like hard to find an original series episode that's like it because of how good this is. Like, it's almost like I could compare it to like Everybody Loves Raymond or a real sitcom, which is kind of cool.
At least we still have a roof over our heads.
This album is literally rocking my world.
Okay, then we finally have the season finale, iReturn to Webicon, something that they've done in the previous series, Webicon. They did I Start a Fan War, they had a lot of experiences with fans there. It's essentially like an award show for online people. So everybody comes into this episode with expectations. Carly is excited because it's apparently a glamping trip this year, Webicon. I don't know why they would switch up their format that much, but okay. Harper promised her boss Dutch that she's gonna be able to sing at the Webicon, which confused because it's outdoors and everything. And then Freddie is talking about how he could finally pitch to investors since there's a lot of investors there. Kind of reminds me of like a film festival type scenario. This is still in the picture and he's very stereotypical man where he's like, oh, I wish we brought all this resourcefulness. And that's kind of his whole vibe because he's an auto body guy, I guess. Before the cold open's even over, we see that the trip is a disaster. They're stranded in the woods. So it's essentially a Survivor type episode. Turns out this is Webicon and everything, they just don't have financial resources to go all out, and that's kind of the most real thing I've ever seen. It reminds me of a film festival I went to once where it was like sounding like it was going to be this whole big deal, but then it ended up being just a bunch of people in a room watching a movie. It's so crazy to think how money separates like a really good event from like a really awkward event. At any opportunity of positive experiences like singing or like doing all this stuff, Spencer's like, nope, that'll attract the possums, can't do that. And so it is essentially like a boring retreat. Cool piece of lore, apparently Spencer had lent Freddie money in the past and he'd only lost it. Like, he's embarrassed to say that he lost some of Spencer's money. So when Spencer's trying to cheer him up and is like, no, this is still an opportunity for you to pitch to investors, like maybe I can invest, like Freddie is too much in his own pride to let that happen. So he's like, no, like I'll figure it out on my own, I don't need help from you. Wes and Carly start having disagreements. He's more about survival, she's more about having fun, which makes sense for a social media influencer and an auto body guy. Carly keeps comparing Wes to her old boyfriend, who happens to be there in his own cabin. Yeah, so Bo has his own place here in the woods, kind of sketchy, but kind of a miracle for all of them who don't have anywhere to go. Apparently, he was going to present her the Lifetime Achievement Award, which is insane. She's like in her 20s. Spencer has the idea of targeting Bo as a way of getting Freddie's tech project funded, which is kind of a cool idea. It's fun we have like an actual reason for this character to come back, not just for like Carly or to split up her and Wes, which by the way, him and Wes have a lot of awkward male moments. Wes and Carly start to have some tension, which I totally agree with. Poor Wes has to deal with the fact that her ex is here. What the heck? A storm comes, and next thing you know, they all have to go into Bo's cabin. Oh my god. The storm gets worse and worse with everybody's lives seemingly on the line. Like, this whole thing is about to collapse. And it's so funny because Spencer is just sitting there listening to his headphones the entire time. He doesn't even get like a wink of what everybody else is going through right now. We cut to the next day, and everything is kind of a mess. Like, they're still in the woods, but this time they don't really have a cabin. Harper admits that her and her boss, Dutch, has really hit it off, so I guess they're gonna be a relationship soon? Freddie gets an opportunity to pitch to Bo, and he's like epically failing, so Spencer pretends to be a dog and interrupt. It's so random. Wes tries to make up for the fact that they're fighting, so he builds her this entire stage for her to accept her award anyway, which is actually really sweet. Bo also tries to compete by having an award flown in, and it's so funny because Freddie makes the point that like, wait, we could have gotten out of here this whole time, but you instead flew in an award. Like, it's ridiculous. The guys get in a fight over her, and next thing you know, they're forcing her to choose who to be with. We don't really get an answer to most of these things. It's generally assumed that Carly just lost them both. And we have a little talking head at the end, very Survivor style. Should have done this the whole episode though, honestly. That would have been so much more interesting. I feel like going off to be more about Carly's dating life is a little bit of a step down, considering like that's a general sitcom thing. Like, most shows can do that and do that. Like, this is a show about an influencer. We could definitely lean into the fact that she is an aspiring like web star. Like, I feel like jumping into this is almost taking itself a step down from what it used to be. So the finale isn't such a great representation of the whole show. I feel like the whole show in general did a really good job at being both hilarious, a good sitcom, super relevant, and its cheesiness and references to the original show may feel like out of place sometimes, but it's still totally worth the watch. No iCarly episode really ended with a cliffhanger like this unless we're talking about the Freddie and Sam episodes. So I'm not used to like a finale leading to something. It's cool that they're taking this like traditional sitcom route of like trying to keep us invested at the end of 13 episodes, considering that's not a lot of episodes compared to the real series. Overall, a super fun experience, and I definitely recommend it if you want to go down nostalgia lane, maybe revisit how some of the old episodes inspire the new ones. Like, it's totally worth the watch. If we're comparing it to the original series, I feel like the only reason it wouldn't win is because of the amount of episodes. Like, the original show had more time to have more memorable moments, more exciting experiences. This show seemed to not take advantage of the fact it only had 13 and tried to shove a little too much at the same time, calling for unnatural situations like awkward character beats. It just doesn't feel as polished as it could be, and the original show was really good. This show was definitely worth watching. So as we step into season 2, season 3, I feel like we really gotta buckle down and take this show really seriously, because it's worth being up there with all the most recent shows. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been so fun going through all the original Teen Nick shows as well as some of the reboots. I did Wizards of Waverly Place, I'm doing the iCarly one. It's just so fun to see how 2000s nostalgia lends itself to the times today. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and for more 2000s content, check out Johnny 2000. Have a great day, everybody.